I love you, Mona.
The story of getting this particular fake painting is it took a lot longer than the story is going to take to tell, because what the story is that this was in a thrift store, and I had my eye on it the moment that I walked into the thrift store the first time. I was like, that's a really cool painting, and they wanted $55 for it. And this thing is just nothing but plastic colored. That's it. The whole thing is made out of the same kind of like weird kind of compressed plastic. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Are you insane? I'm not paying $55 for that. And over the span of 6 months, every time I go in there, it'd be down like a couple of dollars, $5, $2 here.
Funny.
Until eventually it was like in the teens, $18, $19. I was like, there you go. Now you want me to go home with it. And
right. Now the universe said, LeBlanc, this is your painting.
It is.
We made you wait patiently for this painting, okay? For those of you who would have paid $55 for your piece of plastic, shame on you.
Yeah, if it's a thrift store, wait it out. Like if
you only pay that much for a vibrator. You never pay that much for a piece of
pay good money for
plastic.
A vibrator. Don't pay bad money for a vibrator. You will be disappointed, lonely, and irritated.
Totally disappointed. Welcome to Bisexual Coffee. It's only $7. It won't break the bank.
Yes. Edith, hello, sweetheart.
Hello,
how are you?
Fantastic, darling. Oh, so please tell me, what kind of brew are we having today? What kind of coffee?
I've had enough caffeination for the day, so we are now having a nice. I think this is Kroger brand decaf coffee with 2 equals and half and half.
Okay, so mine is a Starbucks decaf because we are recording in the evening hours. And it is very dark roasted, so it's got a little bit of a tang to it, a richness to it,
a little acidity to it,
to it, and then I put a little coconut fat. What is that called? What do they call that?
The coconut oil.
Coconut oil, yeah. I got a little coconut oil in there, and then I put a little almond milk, and I whipped it. And because it was so dark tasting, I did put a little swerve in there just to take down the acidity a little bit. So now we got some good flavor.
Why is this picking
up? We got 2 bisexuals drinking coffee. It's fabulous. Fabulous, you know? It's not coffee unless a bisexual's making it for you. Did you know that?
It's not worth the it's not worth the squeeze if your bisexual is not juicing it. So I hope my audio is coming through okay. I've been having microphone issues in general. I have these cool little lavalier mics that I bought off the TikTok shop.
Yeah.
And normally anytime that you see me and I'm far away from the camera on my TikTok and you can actually still hear me, right? It's because of those. And then I wash them.
I want you to see.
Just straight in the washer.
You really do. You put them in the fucking washer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just straight in the washer. I plan on making a video about it here soon.
Were you angry? Was there anger involved in this activity?
No, easy come, easy go. Yeah. There are a few things in my life that still give me kind of like irrational anger. You know, I understand why it's there, and it doesn't necessarily make it all the less irrational, but you know, it's still there.
We're going to get there. We're going to talk about that irrational anger, but I want you to look behind me.
My screen is so tiny. I do it from my phone.
It's like it's a little goddess, and I'm burning incense, right?
Oh, nice.
And she's from the woods. Okay,
so that's woodland. That's your little piece of art.
Yes,
that's nice.
Look. And then there's a little bird nest on the top. So the smoke is coming up.
That is nice.
Can you see that?
I think your piece of art might trump my piece of art because yours is actually like kind of functional. Mine is a glorified paperweight. Like literally, there's a piece of paper here that we're gonna address here.
Your sense of humor really gets me all a tingling. I'm like, oh, that's so funny. Woo! Your humor makes it. Once we get this once we get the system going, like when we get it really, really going, we do have a following, by the way. But once we get this whole thing of flowing and a grooving and a percolating.
The first thing we need is reliable technology. Like my phone might be the most reliable piece of technology I have right now. The microphone that I'm using right now is very old by technology standards, Yeti Blue. I think it came out in the early 2000s.
You're so funny.
So
We do need to work on that.
the
Now,
fact
what
that
kind of
picking,
phone do you have?
oh, I have a Pixel 6.
Is that like, are they on 10 now? Pixel 10?
Yeah, but you don't necessarily need to get the same to get an upgrade every year unless you have the money, the discretionary money to do that. The processing power and the camera and everything for this, it's fine. It's perfect. I do a lot of what looks like to almost be professional photography if I
You've
squint after
done
I take the
very
photo.
well. You've done very well. Look,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I appreciate everything we do. That time, so what I did, I have to backstory for all those people listening. I went to go see LeBlanc. I had the time of my life. I stayed in the mountains. I was in addict mode, man. I was still like, I was still like figuring my shit out.
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
And I went up to see my friend, and literally I watched him game. I was falling asleep like an old lady, okay? I'm
Yeah.
in the audience. I'm laughing my ass off. Next thing you know, I'm like, and I had to wave to LeBlanc and go, "Hey, peace, dude. I'm out. See ya."
Yeah.
I had to go. I had to go. And I left, and I drove up a mountain in the pitch black darkness.
Yeah.
It was beautiful though. And then I got in that bed. My God, on the side of this mountain, I was being hugged by nature and just cradled. It was so beautiful. I'm going to do it again.
That is nice. That is
and
nice.
I saw D's nuts.
D's 20, but you're close. You're
I
so
do that on
close.
purpose because I like to say D's nuts. I don't know. It's like,
but I mean, it's part of the joke, part of the title, anyway.
yeah. D's
and
20.
There's actually a really big event that is actually being advertised right now by D's 20, where the host Todd A. Davis was able to secure 2 wrestlers from the National Wrestling Alliance.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that.
And it's going to actually be 6 players plus him, so it's going to be a full house in a larger place called the Hangar Cafe in Greenville, South Carolina. So
that sounds interesting. That sounds like these, or no, maybe World War II kind of shit.
Well, maybe, but it's just it's a good old hangar that they've had a stage space, and
it's an actual hangar.
Yeah, and then they can fit like 150 people in there, so it's a bigger venue. He's very excited about that. And that
when is that?
May 2nd. May 2nd. So if you people out there want to go check out D's 20, where professional comedians and personalities play D&D live on stage.
I want to do it.
Go check out Google D's 20, look up D's 20. That's D-E-E-Z.
How do I get invited to such an event?
Invited?
Yeah.
You got to know a guy who knows a guy, which
I know a guy.
I am literally the guy who knows a guy.
Oh my God, I'm in.
But here's the thing. I have to pay for the door. You've got to pay for the door. So we're not getting invited, but I can send you the link. We can also put a link in here. If I can send you the link and we get that.
Send me the link.
In there.
I get it. I probably have to go go several times, like as a customer, and establish my my credibility as an Edith.
To make a presence, that would be nice. But no, like I said, I still have to pay for the door too, because it's a very small operation. It's very much rigging wire and gaffer's tape,
Oh, I know.
all behind the scenes.
But that's what makes it so much fun.
It is. And seeing it get off the ground and even getting this cool attention and being able to have 2 wrestlers from the National Wrestling Alliance there, I was able to make some really cool looking posters. Any posters that you see, except for the original poster that has like that squirrel wearing the knight of armor, or the armor knight's armor, that's done by him, but anything else is done by me. So I'm dabbling now.
Look, I think that's amazing.
Graphic arts, so that's cool.
Dabbling. It's a dabble now, a dabble here, a dabble there, and then when you get old like me and you start realizing that you want to do more of it and more of it and more of it, it'll just switch.
It's making me want to just tackle bigger and bigger things as I'm going along. As a few years have been going along, where I've been more comfortable in myself, attending my first Pride events, trying to strengthen both what's inside and outside through working on my relationship and going to therapy and everything like that. It has left me room for the creative blossom to bloom, so to speak. And I can always tell when I haven't done enough because my dreams are wild. And let me tell you, here recently,
tell me,
every night is like an impressionist painting of sitcom and movies kind of all thrown together, like wild plot points that make sense at the time, but the moment I wake up, they're gone. And I know that it's time for me to do something big. So I've got a couple of big things that I want to do. It's either A, jump back into my second book, or B, it's a movie, and I don't know which one it is. I'll have to figure out. I know what I need to do for mine, but I don't want to say too much right now, because in general, because it's marinating in there, and I feel like if I let it out, it's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I just know that I'm watching a whole lot of that show that came out on ABC and Fox called The Critic, that came out in the 90s and ended in 2001 with John Lovitz. Just know that I'm watching a lot of that in preparation for my movie.
Okay.
Whatever that means to you, let that mean that to you.
Well, so our realities will be totally different because I'm going through, like, let me tell you what happened this afternoon. So
Yeah, go ahead.
I went out with the girls from my neighborhood and we went to the Florida Orchestra, which was phenomenal. I got free tickets. I thought I was going to have to pay like $50 for this thing.
You went to that
right?
event for free. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then afterwards, we went to this place called Barfly for lunch. And I had this amazing hamburger and french fries. And when I say these women don't give a fuck, they said whatever they wanted to say.
Nice.
It is what it is. They judge the shit out of each other. No one cares. They all are bitchy. 1 minute.
A good friend group does allow judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, it's important. It's
Yeah.
huge. If you don't have a real best friend unless that best friend can just drag you because of the things that you are doing or have done, because you know it's coming out of a place of love and not out of judgment. So maybe it's not so much that they judge you, it's the fact that they care enough about you to be real with you. And I love that. I love that, the fact that you have found a group that is comfortable enough with them. Are they comfortable enough with you already to do that? Or
Oh, yeah.
are you still
God. We were in the car and we were on the way home from lunch, which was amazing, by the way. And you know my mouth.
I do.
I can't
Learning it more as the day goes on.
Yes. So somehow we got on the subject of dick. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it was something I brought up. Maybe it was something they brought up. As one does.
As one does.
And I was talking about my situationship. Oh, I had a mushroom shirt on. And somehow they were like talking about how cool my mushroom shirt is and stuff like that. And I said, it reminds me of a bunch of dicks. And they were laughing so hard. One of them's in their 90s and she was laughing, and she's blind, but she was laughing her ass off. And the driver was like, oh, we've needed young blood so bad.
Young blood?
Me, I'm the youngest there, right?
Are you?
I'm the youngest there. Like I'm a child of the 60s. I got tattoos. I'm tattooed all over, like from head to toe.
Tattoo does not a young person make.
Look, young to them. None of these ladies have anything like this going on.
Okay, age-wise, like actual, how long they've been on this earth, they're all older than you.
20 years at least.
Oh.
All of them. All of them.
Well, no wonder you're finding somebody who's like comfortable like that. Once you get like to what would that be, like in their 70s?
Yeah,
yeah. I feel like I want to slide into that kind of like comfort of just being able to say what I want when what I want, how I want, to whoever I want by the time
you should be able to now. It's just that you're feeling the energy from everybody, and we're all trying to get comfortable in our own skin.
I'm still shaking off my people pleasing habits that I've learned over the years.
We can't please everybody, but I'll tell you what, there's a fucking group out there that's gonna want to talk about dicks.
No, and that's good. And damn it, we should be able to talk about dick whenever we want.
That's right. How pretty they are.
God-given right.
I look at everyone and I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
Tell me on a scale of 1 to 0 or 1 to 10, excuse me, on the scale of 1 to 10, tell me how good this segue is. So speaking of dicks, I don't like mine. No, I'm kidding.
What improvements would you make on it?
I'm kidding. Well, younger me would have done different things than what me now would do. And this is actually, I'm sure you remember, harkens back to the conversation we were having yesterday.
Yeah.
We were talking about our body just in general. And I thought it would be really cool to actually sit down, have a list with us and talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What we would have changed in our bodies, because I feel like you may be in a better situation, more comfortable with your body now than maybe I
talk
am,
better.
because
Yeah, I talk
yeah,
better to my body.
yeah, and it's something that I'm learning. And so I got 10. I was able to get 10 for past and present, maybe future,
I
probably
got
not,
about
because
10.
I never look ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking we go back and forth, we share, we talk about them. You know, we don't just dead read these lists. You know, create a conversation out of this. This is good podcasting. Damn it, I feel like
This is
this
what
is good.
everybody thinks about. Come on, it's like
Yeah.
when we all want to get naked, all right? We all
Some
want to
of
be
it.
accepted. When
Some people don't. I don't know
I
if you
like
know the
getting
term.
naked.
So do I.
Never
I'll be
nude?
honest with you. Yeah, never
Never nude?
nude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that term. I started to get to be a never nude.
Yeah.
I started that shit
Don't
and
do
then
that.
got angry about it.
But there have been, various things that people throw around that have been made like tropes in movies. People talking about, oh man, I'm going bald. This must mean I'm not that much of a man, or I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, my labia looks weird, my dick hangs to a certain side. Is that healthy? Do I have cancer? These are questions that
I
Google
love
probably
that.
gets
Our minds are we're
bunch.
so crazy.
So I've got what I even kind of arranged it to what I feel is kind of more of a benign thing that I've just made peace with, to things that may be a little bit more risque, things more around the genitalia area. And I will tell you this, I think my labia looks exquisite. I'm very happy with my labia.
Are you? That's because look, labias turn to balls.
Yeah, see?
Is what
And
happens.
I had that thought actually a lot when I was younger, when I was kind of like wondering, like, trying to figure me out, and trying to figure out what is like, is there a one-to-one between what I have and what I would have had as a female? Like, I've had these thoughts, and it all kind of led into my self-image. So because of the fact that I talk so much, Edith, why don't you give us your first thing on your list
I'm
and
gonna
tell us,
start with when I was young. Like I
go
want to
for it.
say 16 years old. And it all was based on fear. Everything I knew about my body, we didn't even have the internet yet when I was that age. The information I got was from men, however their reaction was to me. Then that's
Okay.
how I based my judgments on myself. That's how
man.
I looked at myself. That's my very first one. I want to say I was 16 years old, maybe. And I had my first sexual encounter, and the individual responded to me with love, but I didn't know what love was.
Okay. So this is you like looking in the, like, your 2020, looking back and realizing that,
Yeah. I was in lust, complete
oh,
lust.
okay.
So in order for me to keep my face, I never saw him again after that. Like I
Aw.
never saw him again. I didn't want to be with him. I made
Or
sure
Lusty Edith
everybody
probably broke
knew.
this little guy's heart.
He was cute too. He was a soccer player. And he really opened up to me and told me who he was. He was very young. He went fishing with his grandfather, and he got a hook caught in his eye, and it shattered, it like broke apart his retina.
Yeah.
So it was not whole and
Oh,
in
that's
one
wild.
piece. And I mean, this human was so loving, but I was a scrambled mess. I was like, my dad
So
had already gotten to me and called me a sinner, and like all of this stuff was going through my head. So what I was doing was wrong. I had it in
yeah,
my head that it was wrong. So it really, I think, was the precipice for how I relate to men now. Does that make any sense?
yeah, it does.
Hmm.
Now I have to ask, just because the fact, what the list was, what did this do to a perception of a part of your body, or was this a perception of
It was my
sex?
face. My face, my
Oh, it was
body. I hated all of it. It was I was just not aware of who I was. I didn't like any of it. I didn't like my face. I didn't like my body.
okay.
That's really not a good place to start your whole life from, is not
Yeah,
liking your body.
that's true. That's true. And that's what a broad stroke.
Hmm.
I will tell you that I went a little more targeted on mine, but that's fine. When I was, oh God, I'd say 5th or 6th grade, my dad kind of became aware of how I was developing. For one, it wasn't a very physical child. I wasn't involved in sports or anything like that. So anything that he was noticing, it was just like while we're out in the open and everything like that. And he noticed that I was becoming kind of pigeon-toed as I walked. And so he spent the greater part about 2 months of us like going out to the park and running around trying to just get me to be more active. And while we were doing it, he's like, hey, how about you try putting your foot out this way? How about you try putting your foot out this way? And I don't know enough about orthopedics to say whether or not this was actually the cause, but I feel like it's very interesting that I spent, all the way up till 5th grade being kind of pigeon-toed. And now that when I walk, my left foot is straight, but my right foot always swings out. It's not, it's actual physiological thing. It's like not like a mental thing, because I'm sitting there and I'm watching the natural swing of my tendons makes this foot swing out. So kind of adds to a little bit of a swagger now as I'm older.
I love the swagger.
It doesn't really affect running or anything like that. It does affect bike riding. I can't ride bikes because the way that the ankle moves out, it forces my knee to move out a different way, and it feels like my knee is going to shatter. Can't do bikes anymore. But at the time when I was in the military, you have to wear really hard sole boots and shoes. And when you march in those, it makes a very telltale slapping sound when I walk. And the people around me was like, LeBlanc, could you please stop walking like that? And I was like, would I if I could?
So they brought attention to it.
They did. And so for about 6 or 7 months, it was about the only time I ever really felt conscious of it, except for the times where I began to realize where I couldn't ride a bike as an older adult. But, now it's just it's a part of me. It's a fun little part of me that luckily I haven't faced or have harbored much shame about. So that's my foot. Now it's your turn.
Okay, so we're talking specific body parts.
If you want to, if you have your list, go by your list however you want. We don't have to do one for one.
You know what? I had all kinds of, so when my mom just focused on me a lot as a kid, like I was a fat little kid. I didn't think I was a fat kid. I loved it. And flat chested. I was so flat chested. I didn't notice any of it. Like I was good with it until I went to Barbizon modeling school. My parents or my grandmother sent me there. I'm going to send them to modeling school. Did we learn an instrument? No. Did we learn about science? No. Did we? None of that. They really.
What did you learn? What does one learn at modeling
Makeup, how to be selfish, how to compete, how to think you're not enough, how to see your mom and your grandmother argue over the children. And then we took modeling
I'm sure you paid extra for that class.
Oh my fucking God. Like you watch these reality shows on TV where they're all competing and they've got all this plastic surgery and not a one of them like an instrument or, let's better ourselves or
it depends on what show or what competition you're watching.
Some of them they actually shows I watch. Cooking shows I watch. I do watch like sometimes I'll watch The Voice and sometimes I'll watch the dancing shows and things.
Yeah.
But I also watch Traders. Do you watch the show Traders?
I know of Traders. Traders is very well talked about in the podcasts that I listen to.
I love them. I love them, but they're all like from
what I understand, they're all reality TV alum. Like they are from other well-known shows. And then get brought into this whole thing.
The lie.
Yeah.
And then some of them just like the traders turn on each other and I feel. But they're very vain and their boobs are like.
I wouldn't have pegged you for trash reality TV.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well,
good for you.
I like Gordon Ramsay. I watch Hell's Kitchen. I'm a cook. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm a really, really good cook.
Have you ever watched Love Island?
Do I what?
You ever watched Love Island?
I can't.
Okay, good. All right. So there is a line. There's a limit.
I have. I can't. I have standards. You know what I'm saying? I just can't. I mean, that kind of selfishness. It's like, look, you're not going to find love like that. Like you're all screwing around. You're all there to fuck one another and just.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's.
You're
that's
basing your whole relationship on strangeness.
And for the hopes that this is later going to launch you into something else. Like that's what the whole show seems to be about.
Exactly. I'm so like they take people's egos and they're very young and then they just exploit them. That's what it is.
That's true.
You've got a hot body, but you're a complete like hot mess upstairs. 'Cause you're hoping this person's gonna complete you.
You're definitely the hot mess that the producers also want to show too. Like I doubt very seriously, like they are 100% all the hot mess that they are on screen. I mean, off screen as they are on screen. The producers are definitely going, "Hey, talk about this. This will seem unhinged when we cut this out of context 3 episodes down the line." It's all puppet work. It's all puppet
So
work.
this is the thing. At this age, I don't want to be addicted to people. Like I don't want to think about these people. I don't want to be like, "Oh my God, I gotta go watch Love Island, blah, blah, blah." No.
No,
What am I doing? I'm here at this computer with you. That's what I'm doing. And
but also on the flip side, you admit that you've watched Traders, so I feel like
yes,
there are layers.
look,
There are layers.
I already told you. I already told you about my friend.
Yes. By the way, for those of you listening instead of watching, she's held up her little figure of the Joker 3 times now, and I think she's feeling some sort of way about watching the world burn. So the next thing on my list, and I haven't cut my hair in a while, so I feel like this is like the perfect thing, and it's my hair. In fact, like it's thin, it's wispy. When there's water on it, it's curly. It grows really thick out of the back, but not out on the top. I love the fact that I have hair. I hate the fact it's the way that it is now, because for the longest time I used to just shave my head like as soon as I hit boot camp. I realized, oh, I could just cut this off and not have to deal with it because no one taught me how to deal with my hair. My hair was like a mix of my mom's curly hair and my dad's like kinky, wiry hair. And so it was hard to manage. And so I just cut it all off. After letting it grow out, because Marley suggested, like, hey, well, let's just see what happens when we grow out. Maybe we can do something with it. And so for a while there, it was cool. It was a bounty of nice curly hair. And then like somewhere, like I think it was like 39, 40, my hair was just like, all right, well, it was fun while it lasted, and now it's just falling out every time I touch it. But I haven't ever wanted to go back to just shaving it off, even if it's like that. I know eventually I'm gonna like not have anything up there, and it's just gonna be rung around my head, kind of like how my dad was. But I'm gonna enjoy the ride. I'm gonna enjoy the ride. It's
It's
a heck
just
of a lot
hair at the
better.
end of the day.
Exactly, and it's a heck of a lot better. I do need to get a haircut in general, just because it is wild right now. You should see it when I first get up; it's just everywhere. I've been wearing a hat most of the day just because it's easier to work in.
So
And also,
explain how that makes you feel like in your relationship. Does it impede your relationship at all? Do you care? I mean, does it make
no,
you feel any sort kind of way?
no, I'm thankful for being with somebody who is like, hey, you should give this a shot. Don't shave it off. You don't have to shave it off. We can definitely do something with it, even if at the time when she was saying that there was more to work with. But you know, even when I get just like a simple haircut or something like that, she's like, oh, how do you feel about that? Was it too short for you? It's a conversation that I haven't really ever had to have because I didn't have hair. Just like I said, I shaved it all down. Um, at the time when I was shaving it all down, I was also I was a bigger person. I was getting close to 300 pounds at my biggest. Somebody drew a picture of me shortly after I had shaved my head for the first time, and I didn't have any facial hair or anything like that because I worked at McDonald's. They didn't allow facial hair. She meant very well. She saw the best in me, and she drew what she saw. And the only thing I could see was I'm too round. I don't have any hair. Did not like that drawing,
I'm sure, yeah.
and I never told her that. I never told her that. And I'm still very thankful for the fact that she even took the time to do that because it was a very good drawing. It was very true a drawing. She saw the brightness in me. I chose to see the curves. And so as I've gotten older, I've changed. I have a little bit of hair. I have more hair back here. I have facial hair. I love the facial hair. So it makes me feel more comfortable. And I think in turn, it allowed me to be more comfortable around the people around me. I don't know if it's necessarily because of the fact I have hair that I feel better about my profile or anything like that. I think it's just a sign of me not hiding from the things that I have. And that's
It's
what,
you're being real with yourself.
yeah,
You're accepting yourself for who you are, and that is something I've never been good at until up to now. I had to take off from every relationship I ever had, every friendship I ever had, and I had to figure out why I kept running from myself. And I think for women is that there's these judgments, less from parents now, I think, but
yeah,
when I was growing up, my mom absolutely needed me to be everything. Right. And then so she got in the way of my authentic self, which that would be me creating myself and being out in nature, which I absolutely love, loving my pets, loving school. I was really always good at school,
Yeah.
but she couldn't help me with my homework and then gaslit me, what are you, stupid? You can't do this yourself,
Oh.
instead of saying, you know what, honey, I don't know what this is and I can't help you.
Yeah, some people find it hard to have the real conversations and choose instead to project their feelings outward, knowing that, well, if I'm feeling it this strong, obviously they're going to feel it too. It's really easy to get trapped in that kind of situation. I mean, like you've mentioned in the past, you were technically trapped in that. I mean, due to the fact that that was your family and that there's just how
That's
life
the one I
was.
picked, apparently. I
Yeah,
picked that
obviously, right?
family to land in, don't know why, but that, and but now like my hair. I mean, I had this hairdresser that bleached the ever loving bejesus out of it. So it's growing out now, but now I'm on hormones and it's not growing quite as thick as it was
Okay.
growing 3 years ago. It was really thick 3 years ago, but I feel better than I've ever felt. I suggest everybody go on hormones. I pick a side. Like, what do you want to be? You want to be a man? Okay, great. You want to be a woman? Okay, there you go. They got
But make
hormones for
sure
that.
make sure you get a doctor who tells you what's
Exactly.
probably going to work well with your body. Don't just start
Exactly. Don't
throwing
just,
hormones in there.
yeah, no,
You
no,
might
no,
you
no.
might cause a problem.
I waited this long. I found uh, a doctor that's amazing.
Good.
And it's a hard ride the first year, a year or
I've heard that.
two. Yeah, because you go through all your trauma all over again, your childhood trauma and stuff. Very strange how hormones just like, just finding you're going in this up and down
Yeah.
spiral. And I've been meditating and I've been doing all this stuff. And I'm good now. We found each other and we're doing exactly what I want to be doing, and that is podcasting.
Well, that's good. Do you have another thing on your list?
My butt.
Your butt?
My butt.
That's a pretty common one, I think. I think a lot of people feel like they could do better.
Well, when I was young, it was perfectly shaped. It was perfectly shaped.
Age, it's
Yeah,
going to do that.
no, it
Yeah.
was people's beliefs.
You think people's beliefs shape your ass?
Well, listen,
Talk more about
people
that, please.
believe I being like a people pleaser, I
Mm-hmm.
would absorb people's opinions about my body, especially my mother and my grandmother. And then it was my friends. They would talk about their bodies and how they hated this and they hated that. And so then I would start like, oh my God, I'm gonna age and what's gonna happen to my body? And then cellulite started happening on my ass. And little did I know, there are these tools, and I'll put it around here somewhere, but there are these tools I have, and they literally break up the cellulite.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but like,
I don't have it anymore.
well, what I'm saying here is, and I can't go down this road with you because I'll let you go down that road yourself, but I can't say that people's words about me are going to be the thing that shape my body.
No, it's the hate. The hate, like, it does something to you. It's like, yeah, think about it. When you hate
So,
your
or you think it's
body,
like a psychosomatic type situation?
yeah.
Okay,
So if you're not saying
I've heard crazier
loving
things.
things about your body, if you're not saying good, kind things about your body and your cells. Now, I got this from a doctor, Maya Blahnik, that she played on that show
You're
Blossom.
yeah.
She's a
You
doctor.
you butchered her name, but I can't remember it right now. But
Okay.
know that Miriam Bialik,
Yeah, there we go.
Miriam Bialik,
So that's
Either way,
your
she played Blossom, and she played on more recently. People would probably remember her from Big Bang Theory,
and she
Sheldon's
also
girlfriend.
has her own podcast, which I listen to.
Yeah.
And look, even Bruce Lee has said this. Your words are spelling. Your words towards another person can
Mm-hmm.
create a reality around that person. So you have to be careful. So I'm
Well,
very
yeah.
careful about how I talk about myself. I'm now very careful about how I don't talk about other people because I don't want that. Like
I mean, yeah.
you know.
For me, I think it boils down into not necessarily just words or thoughts, but it's also the actions that are made from those words, either from the person who is giving the words or the person who is receiving them. The actions that are made after the feelings are
That's
are
what I'm
that happen to
talking
you.
about. That's the
Yeah.
spelling.
Um,
That's the spelling. That's the you create a reaction within the other person. Like, you know, if you call somebody a fucking bitch, right?
That
Like if
yeah,
you're
but
a
that
man and you call a woman a fucking bitch.
yeah. Well, not suicidal, but I will tell you this.
In
No, well, okay. I've been able to get away with it twice.
your
Once was with
lifetime?
yeah, and for the person to go, yeah, you're right. I feel like I choose my times, my battles, but also you're right. Just being nasty in general will eventually, or maybe even less than eventually, could
It'll change your
actually,
face. It'll change your body. It
yeah,
changes everything.
yeah. So I'm gonna put out one more, and then maybe we'll have to do the rest of this list later because I want to get to the couple of things that I've pulled up from the net to read about.
Oh, sure, sure.
And I'm going to skip down a little bit and say that when I was younger, I was very concerned, especially when I started to find out what porn was, and kind of came into the whole idea that there are people out there who put themselves out there to have sex on either on film or on the internet later, or have stories written about them, and they were always described as the most perfect human beings. Everything is straight, everything is tucked away just right, everybody can go for like 45 minutes, and I'm like,
Right.
I grew up just going, I will never be that guy. I lean slightly to the left. 45 minutes is not just a pipe dream. It is not going to be a reality of continuous action. It will never be a straight 45-minute marathon. Also, who wants straight 45 minutes of just friction? You got to do something else. Positions can only get you so far. That's why I thoroughly enjoy toys in the bedroom. But I stopped, I think, comparing myself to what was readily available, what porn was readily available, maybe by the time I was mid-20s. But that's a good 10, 12 years of just judging myself and going, thank God I'm with the people I'm with, because this would never please anybody else. Boy, was I wrong. And I'm glad. I'm glad I was wrong, because
Aren't
that's very
you?
small thinking. And
It is small thinking.
this phrase is often used, especially in the queer community. Being comfortable with your genitalia, it gets better. It gets
So
better, guys.
I can elaborate on that. Look, the older I've gotten, like my genitalia has always been perfect, like perfect, perfect, perfect. And getting older, your labia get a little longer.
And
Like
that's what I hear.
not like spaghetti, you know,
The
like that.
spaghettification of the
Right.
vagina.
It's but you can definitely see that the skin is more relaxed and things like
Sure.
that. But I don't give a shit.
Same
But
thing with my nuts.
I've
Happening there
been
too.
with emotionally and unintelligent sexual partners who have reached down there and been like, "Oh my god, there's so much skin." And there's really not.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
For my age, if you're in reality, if you're like in present day and not being
yeah.
a complete child about your sexual encounter, then
Right.
you know that you're with a woman and you need to shut the fuck up. It's that easy. If you want to enjoy yourself, you just be mindful, just
Or if you're
dip it.
going to say something, like maybe not in the moment, maybe later, especially if you're comfortable with that person. Go, so hey,
Exactly. Right.
let's talk about your labia.
Right.
Great time last night. Got a question. If you're comfortable enough with that person, by all means, ask about their labia over coffee. All right. So Edith.
Yeah. Porn
Right.
porn isn't real. That's all I want to say.
Oh, there's also that.
Yeah.
Unless
It's not like
even
realistic.
amateur
It's all
porn is probably not
surgery.
even real. Let's be
Yeah.
quite real. Although I have seen some representation of, different sizes, different shapes of penises, different sizes, different shapes of vaginas.
I've seen some good
and it's just-
amateur
yeah,
stuff,
but
you know?
but the stuff that Johnny Sins is starring in, that's probably not representative of
And from my time period, there was a guy
not your
called
vagina.
No. Michael
Um,
Nin back in the 90s was a really, really good director. And he did, there was one video, you've got to look it up. It's called Latex. And
Okay.
everybody was perfect. Their junk was perfect. Their bodies.
there was a casting call about that. If people just like, okay, drop it. Let's see what you're working with. I'm sorry. You got one lip hanging out. That ain't going to work. I'm sorry. Next.
Right. I wouldn't have made the cut.
So, know that I did have a news story pulled up, but in the light of the good casual conversation we have, I'm not really going to jump into it. Just know that there's a whole lot going on out there when it comes to trans rights. And there are actually some people in the Supreme Court who see through all the bullshit that's happening. So, here recently, the transgender bill in the military was recently, or the change where even if you have thoughts of gender dysphoria, you're not allowed in. That was knocked down by saying, hey, you're full of hate and animus. So,
Good.
I hope that puts at least a slightly warm fuzzy in the people, but I've got a Reddit story for us.
Let's do it.
Right.
Love our Reddit stories.
We really do.
They're
And
so
thank
much
God
fun.
for Smosh out there for making you realize that reading Reddit stories doesn't have to be just about making fun of people. It actually is about digging into the story. So I love that for us.
Yeah, how does it resonate, right?
All right, so this comes from Bisexual that says biphobia in the LGBT community is the worst. And this is just a discussion. They're just basically putting it out there. They're not really looking to see if like anybody's the asshole or anything, but they just wanted to put this out here. And I'm sure that some of our listeners out there will probably, if you're queer at all, have probably thought about this. Let me start by saying that I'm a 32 male bi heteromantic. I've been single for 5 years with little to no romantic sexual fulfillment in that time. Things have been very boring, and I feel like my youth is slipping away from me. Meeting people in person feels impossible these days, and dating apps feel considerably more bleak. I've matched with several women over the years that disappear the second they learn I'm bi, and the number of guys who've done the same thing is, honestly, pretty shocking. Whenever I begrudgingly go back to dating apps, I'm lucky if even a small number of women swipe right on me in a month. When it comes to guys, I get dozens, if not hundreds of likes. I'm fairly picky when it comes to men, but I found a handful over the last few years that I would be interested in having some fun with. That said, the conversation doesn't go anywhere, or I'm strung along for days and weeks before things just abruptly end. I matched with a guy the other day and it was very clear that I was not looking for anything serious and romantic. I'm comfortable with having some fun and surprised to hear that he's looking for something serious. He's far from opposed to having short-term fun in the meantime. We had a very zesty conversation. Arranged to have some fun this weekend, and things were going well with the conversation getting rather detailed. As far as I was aware, we were both very much on board. I got the usual spiel, we'll talk more tomorrow, blah, 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 looking forward to this weekend, etc. I messaged him yesterday in the early on in the day with no response. I messaged him later in the evening, again with no response. I messaged about an hour ago just to say, hey, what's up? I hope everything's okay. I haven't heard from you. Are we still on for this weekend? And so far, it's been radio silence. Seems like a textbook case of quietly quitting that happens all too frequently on dating apps. I don't want to get my hopes up because the last time I put myself out there and tried to arrange for a play date with a guy, we talked for a couple of months, began snapping each other on Snapchat, engaged quite a few steamy pics, only for nothing to happen. Literally the day we planned to get together, I didn't hear from him in the morning, but figured he must be at work or whatever. I messaged him about an hour before I left to work that day to see if we were still on and still didn't hear anything. About an hour before we were supposed to meet, I opened Snapchat to find that he had removed me. We were following each other on Instagram, so I DM'd him to ask if everything was okay and was immediately blocked. Needless to say, it hurts. It really hurts, and it caused me to doubt myself and stop looking for close to over a year. Fast forward to this week, it feels like the same situation is playing out all over again. I don't know. I'm just pretty upset. I guess I understand when it comes to straight women ghosting the second they learn you're bi, as shitty as that is, but personally, I think it's completely unacceptable when someone claims to be an ally or are themselves a member of the community strings you along, pretending they're interesting only to be completely dropped off the face of the earth. I just wish people were more honest. I get it if you're not interested in hooking up, but if you imply that you are, goad someone into sharing very private and vulnerable pictures, welcome very personable message, and act interested only to disappear, I find that completely unacceptable.
I got an answer for that.
Hey, go ahead.
From my perspective, from the people-pleasing perspective, from the perspective that I used to have, his perspective
Mm-hmm.
is I stopped putting all my eggs in one basket. I stopped being disappointed by people who themselves maybe had a change of heart. Maybe they themselves were fearful. Maybe, I don't get angry at that energy anymore.
Fair enough.
So this is happening to me presently. I am texting a lot of people. I am, I'm talking to a lot of people, but my subconscious is clear. I don't think about my past trauma whenever I'm dating. I don't say, "Oh, here we go again. Here this is
Yeah,
happening again," because
because
what
it's
ends up happening is I get a direct reflection of my subconscious when I'm texting these people.
sure.
Does that make sense?
Are you familiar with a speech jamming device?
No, tell me, what is that?
So a speech jamming device is a device that when you speak, it takes in from a microphone, delays it by like a second or two, and then plays it back immediately at you. It's been used for all different things, for like games and just videos in general. And I think there's a psychological component to it as well. But the moment that your voice comes back at you, it's like a returning sine wave that like cancels out your thought, and then the next thing you know, you're stammering and you're stuttering. And I feel like it's kind of what you were talking about, the same way. It's just you're putting yourself out there emotionally so loud that when it comes back, you start tripping yourself up.
That's right.
Yeah,
People can't handle all that energy, that all that needy energy. I need you to come back. I need you to resolve my childhood trauma and be the person. They
yeah,
feel that energy. Does that make sense?
it does. And I'm not 100% exactly how needy this person was. I think they're trying to be to project casualness. And
But look how many texts.
I mean,
Well,
that's
what
true.
about now? What about now? What about
That is
now? What
true.
about now? No, that's I've learned that that repulses people. I have a
Yeah,
friend that
I
I
could see
did
exactly
that
what you're saying with that.
to. I did that to her, and we're not speaking now, and it's an addiction to my perspective of her, you see. And
Yeah,
that's not a healthy place to be in because she can't live up to my expectations. There's no way. She's just a person. She's having her own life. She's got to do her own thing. When
that's
somebody
true.
puts all of those expectations on you and expects you, I did that to my husband too. Like I said, I'm in a situation, okay? Whatever.
I mean, I
But
guess there is a point where you have to kind of like think about the Schadenfreude of it all, where you understand that you are never going to understand the mental processes of a person, of another person. Like
no, no. Mm-mm.
that somebody that you pass on the street, no matter what judgments or anything that you think is happening at that point, can be completely different. They're living your own life. You are not even a part of their life. And the moment that you kind of realize that is kind of is an opening experience. I think that though those are really good points, he may be talking just about the fact of people not believing that bisexuality is a thing. I mean, because
But that's also very personal. He is
yeah,
placing that belief on other people. That's not a real thing. That's not a real thing.
I really do feel like that's a real thing, because I've had people in my life, like in my who have talked directly to my partner, who have they're afraid that it's not, I'm not just bisexual, I'm just gay and I'm hiding it, and
But
eventually
do
I'm
you
going to drop her
understand
like a
that's
hot
their
rock.
issue?
Yeah, I'm not
Do you
saying
see what I'm
that
saying?
I'm not
That's
saying
just
that what I have to do, but the fact that their issue comes back in forms of either conversation and or worries and or side glances or whatnot, their issues are still very much being broadcasted. Now, what I do with
mhm,
that energy is up to me, and I completely
mhm.
understand that, but it's still out there. It's like radio. Radio is being blasted 101 FM hot hits
Beliefs
now, but
on the yeah.
I don't listen to the radio anymore. Like music for me is a curated choice. It's something that I very much want to go out there and go, I want to listen to this. I want to listen to this. I want to listen to this. But I don't let radio come into my life, because I feel like that's energy that is not meant for me. It's no longer shaped for me. And
It
that's how,
doesn't. They're all but it's beliefs. It's like we had this Bubba the Love Sponge who literally put hate all over everybody. But the guy was like over 500 pounds and had a dick like a pinky. Okay.
hmm,
So the only person he appealed to were those kinds of people. They were addicted to him. They were addicted to the hate that he spewed out into the world. Right?
sure.
So these people that talk shit about bisexuality, are they themselves questioning their own sexuality, and they have not come to terms with who they are.
Oh, I'm sure it's
They're
a
the
part of it.
ones having the difficulty. This is me at 56 years old. You know, now
Well,
I've I've completely come out. And yes, people are angry at me for being who I am because I have kept it a secret for so not long. And now it's like this big lie that I've been keeping. No,
Right.
it's not a big lie that I've been keeping. It's just that I have gone out into the world and I have designed myself, I have created myself, and I'm living my most authentic life. You're going to have resistance from people who are not living their most authentic life. It's going to be like in this young man, he's got to toughen up, and don't spill your tea to every single person, because every single person is not going to be a partner. If you really want to have a good time, just be a good listener.
Yeah.
Figure it
And
out first.
well, and again, been single for 5 years. He's 32, so I mean, he's been single since he's been 27. Past like year two, you're no longer even the person that you were.
Exactly.
Especially if you've been listening to the things that have been happening around you and whatnot. To this person, I would say that yes, bisexuality is something that is not understood by people. A lot of people do talk shit about it. A lot of people do make assumptions on the fact that, you're something that you don't believe that you are. But here's the thing, labels are so fickle. Don't even worry about the label.
They're so, yeah.
Just be authentic to yourself and don't let other people's opinions start
Shape
to
who you
shape your
are.
self-esteem. Yeah, because it feels like
Yeah.
that's where you may be heading. And I
Yeah,
wish better for you. Wish better
and the
for you for that.
thing for this guy, I believe this is what's happened with my phone. When my friends want me, they're there. If I say I miss your face, they send me a message back. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes I won't hear from them for a whole week. But you know what? These people, they're all living. They're all vibing. They're all thriving. They're doing their stuff. I mean, being on this planet is not easy, and making a paycheck isn't easy either, right?
Yeah, making a
So,
paycheck is bullshit. I'll be honest
right,
with you.
it totally is. I'm working on that. It's definitely, we're headed in the right
Absolute
direction, but
garbage way of
good.
living life.
It is.
All right. So,
That was awesome.
Mr. Who is your best self on Reddit? I really hope that you're doing okay. I know this was only put out an hour ago, so they're still very much in their feelings, I'm sure. And I hope that you get good advice and
Email
don't
that
get
to me, would you? Email
sure
that.
and don't get all your advice from Reddit, Mr. Who is your best
Yeah.
self. Get
You've
it
got
from
young people on there saying, "Well, what the fuck is your problem?"
well, you have just Redditors in general. Redditors have a certain way of speaking that is just sometimes can be either like the best advice you ever heard or something that was scraped out of the bottom of a cod barrel. Like it's such an odd mix. But yeah, I'll send that to you, let you read it. I'm also going to be posting it on the Bisexual Coffee subreddit. And I guess this is the time to say that if there's anything that you want to ask us, if there's anything that you want our opinion on, or if you just want to get to know us a little better, come hang out with us at bisexualcoffeepodcast@gmail.com. And
Peace
Edith, do you have
out.
anything else for our
Yeah,
listeners?
absolutely. Peace out. Word to your mom and love
Oh,
yourself. Say
that's
only
great.
fabulous, wonderful things
Yes,
about your body.
do that. I love that.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
you.
Edith, I love you.
I love you
And
too.
you have a great night.
You too. Peace out.
Bye bye.